Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasul al-Kareem. Honorable colleagues, distinguished ambassadors and UN representatives, learned scholars and policy experts, representatives of the international and national media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. I wish to commend all the organizers of this seminar titled Indus Waters Treaty, an instrument of regional peace and security. I understand that throughout the day, leading experts from Pakistan and abroad have held meaningful discussions on one of the defining challenges of our times. Water transcends political boundaries, it sustains life, shapes civilizations, and its governance has profound implications for peace, security, and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, water is not merely a natural resource. It is the foundation of human dignity, economic prosperity, food security, and environmental sustainability. Throughout history, great civilizations have flourished along rivers, and few river systems have shaped human history as profoundly as the Indus. For thousands of years, its waters have sustained communities, cultures, and one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the responsibility to preserve this shared heritage rests upon all of us. Transboundary rivers must bring nations closer through cooperation rather than divide them through confrontation. This principle is firmly embedded in international law and has guided water sharing arrangements across the globe. It was in this spirit that Pakistan and India concluded the Indus Water Treaty in 1960 under the auspices of the World Bank. The treaty established a durable and carefully negotiated framework governing the 6 rivers to India, 3 eastern rivers to India and 3 western rivers to Pakistan, while permitting India limited use in accordance with treaty provisions. India has benefited immensely from the water storage, irrigation, and hydroelectric infrastructure built on the eastern rivers. We also do not object to India's treaty-based use of the western rivers and seek to settle any differences or disputes within the framework provided in the Indus Water Treaty itself. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the treaty demanded significant adjustments from Pakistan as it had to fundamentally restructure its irrigation and water management systems in reliance upon the permanent legal framework. Despite being disadvantaged along the banks of our eastern rivers, where due to India's unrestricted use, these rivers dried up in Pakistan. But we honored the treaty commitments and obligations in letter and spirit. That investment reflected our confidence that international agreements, once concluded, would be honored in good faith. The treaty justified that confidence. For more than 6 decades, including periods of war and political tension, it provided predictability, transparency, and stability. It has rightly been regarded as one of the most successful examples of transboundary water cooperation anywhere in the world. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is therefore deeply regrettable that this landmark treaty now faces its gravest challenge. India's unilateral decision to place the treaty in abeyance has no basis in the treaty itself or in the international law. Equally concerned has been the suspension of cooperation through the institutional mechanism that have been long served both countries under this treaty. Pakistan's position is very, very clear. We reject India's unilateral and illegal announcement The Indus Waters Treaty remains valid, binding, and fully operative. No party can unilaterally suspend or terminate its obligations under a treaty that contains no such provision. This is not merely Pakistan's interpretation, it reflects the fundamental principle of international law that treaties must be performed in good faith. Our position has been vindicated by the ongoing proceedings before the Court of Arbitration constituted under the Indus Water Treaty. The Court of Arbitration has also affirmed that the Indus Water Treaty establishes a permanent legal regime governing the parties' rights and obligation over the Indus Basin. In doing so, it drew an analogy to boundary treaties, emphasizing the treaties creating stable territorial and resource allocation regimes are not susceptible or unilateral suspension or termination. If international agreements can be disregarded wherever they become politically inconvenient, confidence in the international legal order is inevitably weakened. The sanctity of the treaties is one of the foundations upon which peaceful relations among states are built. The implications extend well beyond South Asia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since April 2025, Pakistan has observed a pattern of actions that raises serious concern, including abrupt variations in the flows of Chenab and Jhelum rivers and continued efforts to expand infrastructure capable of regulating waters allocated to Pakistan under the treaty. Such actions undermine the cooperative framework that has preserved regional stability for almost more than 6 decades. The recent supplementary award of the Court of Arbitration reaffirmed that the treaty imposes substantive legal limits on India's control over the western waters. This reinforces an essential principle. Disputes must be addressed through the mechanisms established by the treaty itself and not through unilateral actions and measures. Ladies and gentlemen, India's presence in the region has been witnessed by the world after the war, and this is most regrettable attitude as some of the speakers I heard since morning, and particularly what Hina Rumani Khar Sahiba wound up the second session. India's present course of conduct runs contrary to the fundamental rules governing treaty relations, including the Vienna Convention, as well as universally adopted principles of international law. Responsible nations respect international law and implement international treaties as a moral and legal obligation. We are convinced that bringing international commitments cannot be arbitrarily, conveniently, or unilaterally disregarded.